right, everybody. Happy Wednesday. How's it going out there? Hope everybody is doing well. If you're joining us for the first time, this is a quick stock market update show that we do to cover the stock market. And we'll go through everything today. We got a lot to cover today, so we'll keep everything else short. We're also doing our class tomorrow. Every week we do a class for customers. We're like the only financial advisor that just constantly tries to teach. So if you're not getting the help that you like with your financial advisor or company you're working for or working with, keep us in mind. Tomorrow's night's class will be on covered calls, really geared towards the retirees or those of you that are very close to retirement. Help show you how to generate a little bit of income in retirement. So we'll go through the covered calls. We're going to do it over there on the other studio where we can actually draw out, show the different examples and everything. I look forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We're also playing Guess the Dow. Go to jazzwealth.com/Guess the Dow if you want to take a shot. You're welcome to do so. And if you win, we'll send you a $100 gift card. All right, so we got the stock market mix today. You got the Dow higher by 11, the S&P basically flat, but lost 2 at the end of the day. 5 points on the old NASDAQ there. Here you go. Here's the chart of the S&P 500. We're kind of jumbled up right now. This is kind of an interesting point in the market because and the individual sectors, which we'll cover, you had a really steep sell-off, right? Just kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off in terms of a sell-off, so rather aggressive there. And then all of a sudden, you have a quick one-day rally. We walked you through the entire thing, the turnaround Tuesday, all the stats and everything revolving around that. But now you have an inside day, or basically a no-range kind of a day. Very tight, a little bit of high, like you hit a high, you hit a low, and then nothing really happened. So you kind of have a quiet day here, which leads half of the world to think, oh boy, that's a top, we're going to start selling off. And it leads the other half to think, that's okay, just a quiet day, we're going to keep moving back towards these highs. You don't have everybody on the same page. Remember, basically, for the last part of last year and the beginning part of this year, everybody's on the same page. The market just goes higher. We may want it to fall, but basically the market was moving higher. So we've got a little bit of a jumbled up mess here with the S&P 500. The next few days, I think, are going to be rather interesting. If you happen to be a customer of ours, we did 3 classes on candlesticks, and you'll know from that class that today what happened, the language or what this candlestick is telling you is you need more information before you take any short-term decisions there. So not really much to go on in terms of the S&P there. We did have the Fed come out with their decision today, and unanimously across the board, every voting member said leave rates as they are, right? They did announce they were expanding or continuing the QE4 or the repo purchases, but that didn't really bother everybody too much. A little bit of weakness there. And all in all, the Fed said they're happy with their current policy. They're not going to do anything. So like we predicted yesterday, it would probably be the most boring Fed announcement ever. In fact, I think CNBC and Bloomberg spent the least amount of time on a Fed meeting ever. I mean, they just kind of covered it and then they moved on to other stuff. So I think they expected that too. All right, we've also got a lot of earnings and a lot of earnings continuing to come out here. We've got a ton of things to go through here. Let's cover some of the ones that are coming out or have come out today. Apple was going to be the one. We talked about this yesterday after hours. Very impressive quarter all around. Just everything looked good. We talked about services being up, although not quite as expected. This is the largest S&P 500 name, by the way. So between yesterday and today, you had the largest S&P name by market cap, and today Microsoft, you had the second largest reporting as well. But Apple did well. iPhone sales beat expectations by $4.5 billion. So obviously going well there, which is good because that's where they make all their money. And Apple sitting in new 52-week highs. But some of that's old news if you were around yesterday. So let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft is currently up about 3% after hours. Let me see here. It's up about $5. So Microsoft trading at 173 after hours here. They reported earnings. They're the second largest company in the S&P. They beat on earnings, beat on revenue. Actually, revenue was up 14%. I just looked this up a second ago. They always look in the cloud space. Everybody likes to see how Microsoft Azure is doing. They're killing it, right? Up 62% there in terms of revenue growth, so looking good there. Actually, every segment for Microsoft did well, so it was a really good earnings report for them. Facebook, reporting after the close, that stock is currently down about $14. That's going to put you about 6.5%, give or take there on Facebook. They beat on earnings, beat on revenue. They had a lot of good things to say. Daily active users were higher. Monthly active users were higher. Average revenue per user average revenue per user, yeah, that's how they say it, was up just over $8. The problem is overall margins for that $8 that they made a little bit lower there, and it was a good quarter, but it was a slower growth quarter. So the growth was as expected, but everybody, I guess, was expecting that it would grow a little bit slower. So shares taking a bit of a hit. If you're looking at the chart there, 208.50. is where the stock is currently setting up to open tomorrow, right about the 50-day moving average there. So a sizable gap down for Facebook headed into tomorrow. Wouldn't be right if we didn't cover Tesla. They reported earnings. The stock closed up the day higher, 2.5% going into earnings. It was a very big beat. Earnings per share beat by a mile. Revenue better than expected. The main focus from the earnings report that the algorithms picked up was that so they were expected to deliver 460 to 475,000 cars and trucks and everything this year. And the comment was that they will comfortably deliver more than 500,000 by the year end. So they raised their own guidance there. So good for them. Looking good. Tesla's up $52 at the moment. That is right at the expected move, by the way. Basically, right at the expected move from yesterday. $633 a share. You have to go over here and squeeze your chart down to get to 633. That'll be way up here. It's about a 10% move for Tesla after hours. I would worry that that's a profit-taking type gap. We'll see where it opens, right, tomorrow, but we'll keep track of that one. Tesla did really well. All right, let's go over to the sector breakdown here today, and we'll cover all kinds of different earnings and stuff like that. Like I said, sector-wise, it's a bit of a jumbled mess. If you look around at some of the sectors, they're telling a similar story. If I were to just plop this chart right in front of you, this is the materials sector, but if I were to say, is this a bottom or is this a small bounce in the midst of a downtrend? Half of you are going to say that's a bottom, looks good to me. The other half of you is going to say, nope, that's a sort of a dead cat bounce. That's a weak bounce inside of a downtrend, and we should be cautious here. Unfortunately, you have that in a lot of different sectors. You could look at retail, same thing. Tell me if this is a bottom or if this is just a bounce in the midst of a downtrend here. You could see it either way, glass half full, glass half empty. You never like when the markets and the individual sectors inside the S&P start doing that. Makes for a lot of back and forth, kind of crazy days, hard to predict type days. So the short-term traders are going to struggle a little bit here. You would expect to see them move towards the stocks that have fallen aggressively or the momentum names when things like this happen. So that's all I wanted to share there. Let's go over the sector performance for the last month. This will make it easy to see. Here is every sector represented on a chart, and we look back over the last month. It looks like a hot mess, I'll be honest with you. The takeaway from this is if you look very carefully in there, you can see a black line. It's not quite black, it's like a really dark purple in there. That's the S&P 500. You look above that, those are the sectors that are outperforming the S&P 500 over the last month. You look below that, which is right about in here, these are the sectors that are underperforming. There's one that sticks out, which is highlighted here. That's the energy sector, down double digits over the last month. So if you like that sort of discounted area, well, it's been discounted for a while, but if you like that, you're looking in the energy space there. You might also be looking in retail. That's the second worst performing sector out of the markets there. If we head to the top there, I highlighted it for you. Utilities. Utilities doing really well. So that is the best performing sector, at least over the last month. And then if you go down just one tick further, you got real estate in there as well. We've been pointing this out every day, so you kind of been seeing the breakout there in utilities, right? Even drew the line there to show you when it did break out. And then REITs. Nice recovery off the 200-day. We talked about that chopping around there. And so that continues to be one of the outperformers as well. As for today, I don't know if that's helpful or not to you, but let's see. Semiconductors. There we go. Semiconductors. There you have it there. Bit of a rough day for semiconductors. Lost 1.5%, one of the underperforming areas of the market today. We kind of saw this yesterday. I pointed out all the semiconductors that were already down after hours. AMD was one of them. So AMD shares fell about 6% today. It was mostly good earnings. They guided lower than expected, and they actually got a few upgrades during the day today because everything basically looked good except for, what do they call it? Their mobile platform division, something like that. Essentially what they're talking about is the game consoles. I forget what the segment is that they call it for AMD, but that was the only weak area. And all the analysts that came out and upgraded the stock today said, yeah, you know why that was weak? Is because everybody's sitting around waiting for the new consoles to come out here in the summertime, and they're not upgrading right now. They're just waiting and holding out. So the belief is, while AMD's a little bit weak right now, ideally it'll have a great finish to the end of the year. The company lowered their guidance going forward and kind of hinted at that. So if you have AMD and you own it, I don't know if that's a reason to run away. I'm not giving you advice, of course, but it wasn't like they had a bad earnings report overall. It was mostly good. The chips that they have, they're just killing it in the PC consoles. Just killing it there compared to like Intel and stuff. They're really, really competing there. And I think a lot of the gamers like AMD a lot better. Their Ryzen, their new chip out there. Okay, Xilinx was another one, down 10% on the day. Beat on earnings, beat on revenue. They lowered their guidance as well. There were a whole bunch of downgrades on this one. I didn't even list them because there were so many to go through. I just thought I'd put lots of downgrades in my notes. So stock pushing almost to new 52-week lows there. And then Marvell back down to the 200-day as well. These are some of the names that you kind of saw weak after hours yesterday. Marvell was one back to the 200-day, lost about 0.5%. So that's the semiconductor space. You can kind of understand that held back the markets throughout the day because, you know, if you watch the show enough, you need tech, you need financials. You don't have both of those, you don't get a market rally, period. All right, transports added 0.5% on the day. Did you see Norfolk Southern? Great break to new 52-week highs, also on our 52-week high list today. Added 5%. At one point, it was up over 7%. It was the best performer in this sector by over 3 times the other names in there. Revenue did miss, but still, yeah, the rails higher on the day. Union Pacific was up in sympathy, meaning it was just up along with Norfolk Southern's news, kind of riding piggyback on their news. And Kansas City Southern also higher on the day. If we go over to industrials, you're going to see the sector was higher on the day. That's because of GE, also Norfolk Southern as well. GE up 10%. Turns out their cash flows are headed higher. So a lot of people looking at that earnings better than expected. Higher cash flow and going forward, higher cash flow expected. By a lot, I believe. I looked at that this morning. Bank of America gave it an upgrade. They were at $12, right? So a fair price target. They moved it to $16. So they were thinking very highly about General Electric. You also had Boeing in the mix too. Added just over almost 2% on the day. It was a big miss on earnings, by the way. A lot of people figuring this is all kind of priced in. It missed on earnings, missed on revenue. Revenue was actually down 36%. Not only the 737 MAX was the focus, but also the 787, I believe, saw some weakness as well, if you break it down by airplanes there. Their commercial division, which is the 737 and all the commercial planes, down 55%. However, we mentioned this yesterday as well. They're not looking to take away the dividend, and they didn't. They left it. So the dividend remains intact, and a lot of people look at this and say, look, the worst is priced in. That's basically a bottom, and that's basically the sentiment of Boeing. Over to home builders today, you saw a little bit of a pullback there. We've been talking about some of these names having done really well. Pulte Homes, very extended in the short term, be totally okay if it pulled back, and today it started to pull back. Dr. Horton also, same thing. At one point had erased all of yesterday. This is a home builder. And down 1% on the day to finish. Yeah, it was just one of those days where all of them had been extended. They started pulling back. Finally, this happens. Stocks get too far too fast. They do pull back. They do tend to take a break, so no problem there. Wouldn't be right if we didn't cover the financials. Slight down day for the financials. So you didn't have tech. You didn't have the financials. You didn't have a rally. Simple as that. Goldman Sachs stood out today as one of the relative weak areas. One of the weaker stocks, down 1% on the day. They're in sort of a interesting growth mode, and they expect costs to be a little bit higher is the short story there. You also had USMCA signed today, so if you look over to the Mexican ETF, EWW, you got a small gain on that one of about 1%, and that's pretty much that one. Let's go through a few stocks real quick, and then I'll dive into the rest. Beyond Meat's lower by 4 1/3% today. Tim Hortons getting rid of the Beyond Meat burgers. Apparently, it was exciting. It was a big blast off. Everybody wanted to try it initially, and it's not going so well in Canada, so they're pulling all of their the Beyond Meat burgers there. Burger King did the same thing. They saw, look, this went well initially. It's probably just people wanting to try it, but they're not coming back. So is that a story that keeps bleeding into Beyond Meats there? We'll see. eBay shares poked to new lows there, but did close above them. eBay beat on earnings by 5 cents. They lowered their sales guidance going forward. That one's hinting at trying to break down there. Today went a long way towards convincing the short traders that it's likely going to break down. Strong volume on that one as well. Limited Brands CEO is stepping down, but more importantly, they said something has got to be done about Victoria's Secret, hinting at maybe a spin-off there. So the stock was up 13% because investors want that. They want them to stick with their working brands like Bath & Body Works and get rid of Victoria's Secret or spin it off so that there can be a more advantageous product for investors to invest in. Match.com, yeah, shares down about 3.5% on the day. The CEO has resigned. Stock closed at near lows on the day. All right, S&P 500, you got 58.6% of the stocks above the 50-day moving average. There's a lot of volatility in that number. We've been talking about that, so it's okay that that wiggles around a little bit. That's just letting you know that because of earnings and because of everything going on, the adjustments in portfolios, you're seeing more volatility there. 42 new 52-week highs on the day. GE is going to be your leader by far with that big double-digit gain on the day. Norfolk Southern, we don't have to look at it again or talk about it, but the rails there. A couple familiar names from yesterday. You have the NASDAQ. Great day for that one. Apparently everybody else heard what we said yesterday about Intercontinental Exchange, the New York, NASDAQ, and CME Group all doing, CBOE as well, doing well because of everybody adjusting their portfolios over the last couple of days. So higher revenues there for the exchanges. We talked about Facebook. It hit 52-week highs. However, earnings are going to retrace that. The stock is now down let's call it $15 after hours. Apple, of course, hit new 52-week highs on the earnings there, if you're watching. And then Zimmer broke to maybe a breakout here. Zimmer in the S&P 500 just touched above new highs. Wasn't able to close up there, but wasn't really that much of a strong day. So maybe that one's hinting at a breakout. Just thought I'd point that one out to you. Oh, what did I do here? I did something. I hit all kinds of buttons, man. Okay, 11 new lows in the S&P 500. ExxonMobil was one that stands out. Bit of an extended drop there for the counter trend traders. Just increasingly moving lower. Volume picking up, volatility picking up a little bit if you like playing your option game there. And United Airlines also very extended here in the short term. It gapped down the other day. I think all the airlines now officially have canceled flights to China or most parts of China. So this is a little bit of a response to that. Down 2.3% today. That is what's known as, that's a waterfall drop, right? So that is pretty nasty there in the short term. Also volatility picking up as well. What else do we have here? AT&T kind of got lost in the headlines today. You saw that stock fall 4%, beat on earnings, beat on revenue. They lost 1.2 million subscribers overall. They were expected to lose 646,000. That stock has moved back down to like 5-month lows there, almost back down to 5-month lows. Also, Warren Buffett selling off newspaper. Interesting deal if you want to read through that a little bit. He doesn't sell much, so it kind of will be something that maybe makes headlines going forward. Okay, that's that one. Tomorrow we get GDP numbers, 2.1% expected GDP growth. You've got earnings from Biogen, Danaher, Coke, Eli Lilly, Raytheon, UPS, Valero, and Verizon. And then after hours, you got Amgen. The focus will be on Amazon and Visa going forward there. He also had Las Vegas Sands report earnings as well. Stock is flat at the moment. It was down about 1%. It's currently trading even. Basically flat earnings, so the conference call maybe has started. And while we were talking, Tesla is now up $65. That would be moving outside of the expected range for Tesla's earnings of $55, I think it was. The stock is up 11%. Facebook down 6% there. All right. I think I did it. I'll take a shot here and try to answer your questions. If not, I will get out of your way and let you do your thing. Tomorrow, earnings focus after hours be on Amazon and Visa. In the morning, likely Coca-Cola, Eli Lilly, and UPS. Well, Verizon's in there as well. Dividends, you got Texas Instruments paying out 90 cents, Hasbro 68 cents, Pfizer 38 cents, Signet 37 cents, and Morgan Stanley 35 cents. We do own some of those stocks there. So for the dividend investors out there, you got it. You got it. Cybertruck. Yeah, well, I saw their solar division did well for Tesla also. Very nice. Deliveries and everything. That was a question because of, where they're manufactured over there, where the virus is. Yep. I don't know about that truck. I don't know, guys. I'm just not sure. I like the other mock-up they had. That was a cool-looking truck. I don't know about the spaceship truck. I don't know. So ExxonMobil, that's a counter-trend idea. I can't tell you if you should go and buy that or anything. I could just tell you that thing is super extended to the downside. You have no sign of people really wanting to pick off the bottom there, but if you're an options trader, something to look at. But I can't say. That's totally up to you there. You think the shorts are going to push Tesla to 800? I don't know, man. If you have that position still short, chances are you had it before this rally. You didn't just start shorting on the way up. That's a tough one to hang on to. I don't know many people that can hang on to that. Yeah. It's not a matter of having more money either. All right, yeah, you got Tesla 648 after hours here, creeping higher. I love it. You want to go for a speculative play on SSI. Why is that? What do you see? No, 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 no. I guess I can't say no, but why? You had a stock that had an amazing, amazing run. All the excitement has officially left the building. Very likely, I mean, unless somebody buys them for some reason, very likely nothing happens to this stock. You're going to end up holding dead money. It was halted like 12 times today. Yikes. Nope, nope, nope. Not for me. I'm not going to make any suggestions on that one. No way. That's, what day did that gap down? On the 10th? What's the news there? Guidance, maybe? I don't know why it gapped down so much. Not one I followed directly here. First glance, I don't really see any news, but I don't think it's necessary. There are so many stocks to choose from. I don't know that I would go mess with those. I know I wouldn't, to be honest with you. Any big moves in foreign markets? Yeah, the Asian markets opened up overnight and did not do well. At one point down over 2.5%. Where'd they finish out at? I just like watching middle of the night, just kind of see what's going on. It was the first time they had been back open since, the holiday was over there. At the Nikkei, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I can't find it. I can't find it fast enough, but down, I believe it was Shanghai down over 2.5% at the lows. Of course, this was 1 o'clock in the morning last night, so don't hold me to that. I love it. You like 3M. I saw that move today. It closed on lows as well. No real bounce off lows. So anytime a stock sells off, gets a little extended like that, I mean, I can understand people that say, hey, counter trend. I'd like to start a position, find a way to try to get long in this would make sense. But if you don't see anybody else taking a shot, see how it closed near the low of the day? That just kind of tells you if the markets were still open at this point, chances are it just kept bleeding lower, little by little. No real sign of buyers in there. Maybe that changes tomorrow or something, but it kind of makes you feel like there's a little more left there. I can't say for sure, but we'll see. Harley-Davidson did not do so well on their earnings the other day. That stock recovering at least a little bit today, but that's a tough one. Where do you expect this one to go based on the earnings that came out yesterday? Seems like it's going to have a tough time going anywhere fast. What attracts people to want to come and buy the stock now after knowing earnings and everything? Yep. What's going on with FireEye? You've never heard of that company, but it was getting bought on options today for expiring on Friday with substantial buys there. So you never heard of it, and now you want to dive into it. So FireEye, a little bit of a bounce today. Actually, not bad. 5.6%. A little counter trend bounce there. I see the calls that you're talking about there. 16s. Yeah, you got quite a few options trading inside of there. I don't see any news or anything. Just someone taking a shot, maybe sparking a little action, getting all the option traders to come check it out. 16 calls, 24 near the ask, 62 cents. It's quite a bit of volume, actually. Quite a bit of volume. Where was all that at? No, it was out in March. I don't have my volume. Is it today? There it is. Yeah. So for expiration just 2 days from now, you had 8,016 calls trade. No real notice of a spread or anything in there because 16.5's traded 3,500. I'm not sure what's going on there. Very interesting. That's a heck of a bet. How much did they pay for that? Oh, it was 64 cents at the moment. 62 cents, sorry. Wow. There you go. They got a little bit more to go. 2 days left to go. They need another 25 cents out of that. That's big money. Cool, cool. Thoughts on picking up Restoration Hardware? What's the deal? What are you doing there? You got a stock moving sideways. I mean, it's holding up, looking basically kind of strong, but you have nothing to really go on. Is it a pullback in the middle of an uptrend? Is it a little momentum stock? Nope, it's just trending sideways there. So for the last month or so, you got a stock that refuses to do anything, all from earnings. the Buffett purchase and everything. But you got no reason to see that. It's like the REITs the other day. No reason to believe it's going to go up or down. You need some sort of confirmation. This is one maybe you let it take off a little bit first. But at the moment, it's hard to buy a stock when it's not showing you anything. It's just kind of moving sideways there. Yep. All the healthcare stocks seem to be falling. Yeah, well, they've had a great run, right? So big run here all through Elizabeth Warren sort of sliding in the polls and everything. You had all the earnings coming out. All of that basically did well so far, the companies that reported earnings there. You got a lot of profit taking in the short term. So look, it had a great run. This happens, right? Stocks pull back. Typically, stocks pull back. I know it doesn't seem like that. And for any of you that started trading in the last year, just under a year, you probably think, oh, this is awesome. But stocks, sectors, indices, they all pull back eventually. It doesn't have to be a reason. Could just be profit taking. People saying, hey, that was a great run. Let me run out there. All right. I think we've covered it here. Yeah. All right. I love it. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you learned something new today. More to come later as we're talking. Tesla's basically stuck right there, right around 650. Facebook around 209. And that's about it to wrap up today. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you sticking around and watching us here. Really appreciate it. That's it. Have a great rest of your day. See you.
Hey, wait! Before you go watch one of our other great videos, have you had a chance to see our new Fin Tips videos? They focus on one topic at a time, covering investing, personal finance, and anything that can quickly help you with your dough. Best of all, we'll keep it real short, because we know time is money.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.